Are you a filmmaker, producer, director?
My vision, my ideology into motion picture.
Actor? Screenplay writer? Are you an aspiring filmmaker looking to start a career in the movie industry? Do you want to see what happens behind the scenes when you're looking at those movies in your local cinema? Take 101 will take you on a journey of the filmmaking process from concept to reality, from idea to motion picture. Take 101 will bring you, the industry professionals, and take you through the A to Z of the filmmaking process.
Lucille Morgan on Take 101.
Hi, this is Charles Chucky Venn, and you are now tuned into Take 101.
How do you go about approaching reputable actors to help you make your movie?
I'm Pauline Long and you're watching Take 101.
Lancelot Oduwai Mason. I'm a Nollywood filmmaker. You're watching Take 101.
The most important thing I think you should consider when you're looking for funding is the package that you've built up around your film. Now, the package is normally the director, the cast, the screenplay. The screenplay is probably the most important because it is what's going to help you attract quality cast and a quality director. And I wouldn't advise anyone to start looking for funding before you have that in place. Even if you think you can get the funding, don't do it, because the film has to have a life after you've made it, so the investors can get their money back, or at least, have a reasonable chance of getting their money back. So I would spend the most of your time working on the film package.
Are you a filmmaker, producer, director?
My vision, my ideology into motion picture.
Actor? Screenplay writer? Are you an aspiring filmmaker looking to start a career in the movie industry? Do you want to see what happens behind the scenes when you're looking at those movies in your local cinema? Take 101 will take you on a journey of the filmmaking process from concept to reality, from idea to motion picture. Take 101 will bring you, the industry professionals, and take you through the A to Z of the filmmaking process.
Lucille Morgan on Take 101.
There are various places you can get finance. The majority of films produced in the UK and in Europe and in North America have some form of soft funding, usually a tax credit and some government assistance, a non-repayable grant or a grant that's repayable at a small recoupment percentage, something like 5 to 10%. There are additional sources of funding, which are industry lenders. They're usually equity funds. There are also people who provide loans. All of these people you will encounter in a typical financial package. There is no one person or one entity who will give you 100% of your finance. So typically, a film's financial structure is pieced together of all of these elements, and they all have to agree with each other what they're going to take out, when they're going to take it out, and that's quite a lengthy process and negotiation. But whether you can get those people to the table will depend on whether your package is right in the first place. All of your producing staff should really be looking for finance. On a lot of higher budget films, it's usually left to an executive producer whose sole job is to go out and get money. But on lower budget films, and by lower budget I mean anything under 12 million, that sounds like quite high for a low budget, but I'm taking into account what North America considers low budget. Anything under there, really all your producers should be going out and looking for money, because it's a mammoth task and it's something that you have to work out all the time. So you need as many people working on it as possible. Most of the financiers are listed in industry guides. They have websites. You can look up on IMDb who the distributor and sales agents for a film are. Quite often they are giving some money towards the film. You can also see who the executive producers are. Usually they are people who are either financing or have access to financiers. So they're very open. Financiers are very open. It's not hard to actually find financiers. Probably the most difficult ones are the ones who are individuals who are giving equity. They normally have a layer of people you have to go through first, their lawyers, their representatives. But if you don't have access to very, very wealthy individuals, it doesn't matter. The film finance companies like Ingenious and Premiere, they have websites, they have credits on IMDb, they make their lending criteria very clear on their website, and they will respond to anybody who approaches them they will respond to anybody who approaches them with a package. If it's not right, they will tell you. They will tell you what they're looking for. They'll tell you whether the budget or the cast, match up. They will give you advice, and then you can go away and work on your package if that's the financier you want to go with. Normally a financier will negotiate with all other financiers what they're going to take out and when they're going to take it out. So normally you get when you sell the film, normally when you sell the film, the sale price should give back the investor his money plus 20, sometimes more, % on top is whatever the group has negotiated. And then once the distributor has recovered his costs and his marketing costs, Then if there's any profit left at the end of that, then they take a share of that as well. But really, the sell price, what you sell your movie for to the distributor, that should give your investor their money back. It doesn't always happen. Normally, what happens when you're negotiating with a financier, you have to be completely open and clear about the financial viability of your film. If your film is more than $1 million, $1.5 million, you should always try to get a sales estimate. That is exactly what it says it is. It's an estimate as to what a sales agent thinks it can sell the film to distributors for. It's not a guarantee, but it's better to have an estimate than not. It shows that you've done some due diligence. When you get into further discussions with the financiers, because you are talking to several parties at the same time, they will have their initial criteria for investment. But you have to get all the parties to agree. So what happens over normally a 3-month period, is that they discuss, I will give this point if you concede this point. So it's a negotiation between the parties, the financiers themselves, of what they're going to take. And then once they have come to an agreement, we sign what's called an inter-party agreement. So unless all the parties agree, you don't get to that stage. So it's not a case that somebody says, I'm going to give you money, here's the money for your film. That doesn't happen. It's initially, I'm interested in giving you money, subject to you getting 100% of the money in place, I will write this letter saying that I will finance, subject to other conditions. And then once you have all your parties lined up in the same position, that will give a further letter of intent, which is a bit more detailed. Once you have that, then you all the parties talk until they come to some agreement between them as to what they're looking to get out of it. Once that's in place, you sign the inter-party agreement, then you can really say that you're financed. Before that, you can't say you've got your finance locked in. Quite often in independent film, when people get the letter of intent, they say they're financed. That's not strictly accurate.
Are you a filmmaker, producer, director?
My vision, my ideology into motion picture.
Actor? Screenplay writer? Are you an aspiring filmmaker looking to start a career in the movie industry? Do you want to see what happens behind the scenes when you're looking at those movies in your local cinema? Take 101 will take you on a journey of the filmmaking process from concept to reality, from idea to motion picture. Take 101 will bring you, the industry professionals, and take you through the A to Z of the filmmaking process.
Lucille Morgan on Take 101. Sir, the CPS opposes the bail application made on behalf of Mr. John Ortega.
Mr. Ortega will be pleading not guilty.
Mr. Ortega, could you stand up? Where is John? I don't need any explanation.
He's at it again.
Really? You're in luck. I know someone that could use your services.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got news for you. Tell your management I'll see them in court.
That's just preposterous.
Oh, God, come on, not again!
I know where you live.
What's going on here? I'm gonna get that man and I'm gonna kill him.
Crowdfunding is a completely different financial model. It's not a charitable donation. It is given to people who want to make things, but there's no financial return for the people who give you money. It's become increasingly necessary for film production. Initially, it was very low budget films that were turning to places like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. It was films that were between 20,000 and 100,000, then it went up to a few 100,000. But two important projects happened on Kickstarter in the last few years. The first of these films was Veronica Mars. Veronica Mars needed a certain amount of money to get it made. The studio valued the project differently than the producers. The producers couldn't raise this extra amount of money, and it wasn't a huge amount they were looking for, but it became crucial because without it they couldn't make the film. When they turned to Kickstarter, two things happened. They raised several millions in a very short amount of time, which showed the studio, actually, maybe their figures were not right, but it also showed the studio that there are a huge number of fans of this film that they thought that most people had forgotten. It was based on a TV series which had been cancelled years before, and the studio thought that once it was off the air, it was forgotten, and it showed you that there is a communication gap between studios, distributors, and the people who actually want to view films, to the extent that the people who wanted to view the film were willing to pay to get it made. That's an important thing that everybody learned from the Veronica Mars case. The second thing that happened was the actor Zach Braff, who you may know from Scrubs. He's also an independent writer and director. He needed to make a follow-up to his film Garden State. Now, it was only a couple of million, which is considered low budget in most countries. I know to the viewers it might seem like a lot of money, but typically most films that you see in the cinema do not get made for that kind of money. He found it very difficult. He didn't have an A-list actor. He was the director. He didn't have everything he needed for his package, but he knew, based on the performance of his other films, that he could probably get people to watch it.
Are you a filmmaker, producer, director?
My vision, my ideology into motion picture.
Actor? Screenplay writer? Are you an aspiring filmmaker looking to start a career in the movie industry? Do you want to see what happens behind the scenes when you're looking at those movies in your local cinema? Take 101 will take you on a journey of the filmmaking process from concept to reality, from idea to motion picture. Take 101 will bring you, the industry professionals, and take you through the A to Z of the filmmaking process.
Lucille Morgan on Take 101.